Hi, I'm Jim, and I'm a professional Englishist. So a few things this week. First of all, an apology. I didn't put a video last week like I said I would, so instead I'm going to put 3 videos this week. This one that you're watching now, the promised Gen Con video covering sort of what I did at Gen Con, although I didn't get a whole lot of footage, but you'll see some of it and I'll talk a lot about what I did. And a sort of secret video that will be coming later in the week. So 3 videos this week instead of the 1. Hopefully that makes up for not putting one up last week. I want to talk about part 3 of Perks of Being a Wallflower this week because that's what we're supposed to be doing, but first I wanted to address something. In the comments of the last video, Amy Bradshaw said that she was hesitant to make any comments about the book because she wasn't sure she had anything intelligent to say. What I want to talk about here is that idea that if we think we don't have anything intelligent or valuable to say, we just shouldn't say anything. And I think that's a really dangerous idea, especially when we're talking about literature and especially when we're talking about going into college. Because in college, discussion is sort of what makes classes great. And if you don't say anything because you're scared that you're not going to say anything valuable, then it just isn't, it's not helpful. You should always believe that you have something valuable to say, and I guarantee you other people are thinking it too. And they aren't saying it, so you should say it. And at the very least, it will start a discussion. So please feel free to comment on the video with anything that you want to talk about with regards to the book. And I will happily respond to it, and we'll talk about that. If you don't think it's going to be particularly interesting, give it a shot anyway. I bet more people think it's interesting than you think. Last week, very briefly, I talked about the way that this book deals with mental illness. Talking about that poem that Charlie reads, and also his reaction to it at the end of the part. This section of the novel really elaborates on that point. We see Charlie trying to deal with a lot of his sort of mental illness problems, starting right away with how he feels like he's reacting to the LSD. But we have some really important language here, right? He says, "I feel like a big faker, because I've been putting my life back together and nobody knows. It's hard to sit in my bedroom and read like I always did. It's even harder to talk to my brother on the phone." This idea that we are somehow faking our lives is something that I think a lot of us can relate to. That, you know, we have something bottled up inside. This is especially true if you have an anxiety disorder or depression or any sort of mental illness that you're trying to sort of deal with on your own. You sort of feel like you're just faking it for the rest of the world. And that's sort of what Chabotsky's getting at here with how Charlie's reacting. This is reinforced at the end of the chapter, when Charlie says, "I just wish that God or my parents or Sam or my sister or someone would just tell me what's wrong with me. Just tell me how to be different in a way that makes sense, to make this all go away and disappear. I know that's wrong because it's my responsibility, and I know that things get worse before they get better. That's what my psychiatrist says. But this is a worse that feels too big." And here again, we have this idea that people with a mental illness feel like they have to do it on their own, right? Charlie here is saying that, I know it's my responsibility, and I should be the one to fix this, but I wish someone would just tell me what to do, and tell me how to be better. And the thing is that the way Charlie's going about that may be wrong. No one can just tell him how to act. But the idea of getting help from people is not wrong, and I think the novel agrees with that, right? We see Charlie going to this psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is helping him, but Charlie's very resistant to it, as often people are when they start going to therapy. So moving forward with part 4, finish the book, and we'll talk about it next week. If you want to send comments, because I realize now that there's not really going to be a week that I'm talking about the book and we're talking about part 4 and responding to the comments in part 4. I think maybe I did this backwards. If you have comments in part 4, send them to my contact information in the description, either to the email address listed for the channel, or on Tumblr, or something like that, and then I'll just respond to them, you know, on the video. If you don't want me to mention your name, that's fine. I won't. And I will just say a commenter said this, and then I will talk about it. That also might help alleviate some of this anxiety about not saying something intelligent or not contributing to the conversation in a meaningful way. And then actually, it'll be good, because you'll see that these things that you think aren't necessarily meaningful or valuable really are. So go ahead and do that if you want to. If you want to make it somewhat anonymous, just go ahead and email me or comment on Tumblr in the Ask box or something like that. I'll make sure asks are open on the Professional English's Tumblr, which I think they are, but I'll make sure. So I'll actually see you guys later this week with the other 2 videos. Keep reading Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I'll see you later. Bye.